reaction you had to that? What kind of, obviously, what kind of job do you think he'll do?
Yeah, well, you know I'm thrilled, obviously. Great staff, we were all together this last summer. Monty had been there before, but, during the whole summer, he was supportive and we talked. So, having coached him and been with him and been part of our program as a coach, I know him well, but all the other guys, Spo and Mark and Steve, were all in the bunker with me, and fantastic experience, and to have them take over, I think is wonderful. It's great.
Getting Doug McDermott back tonight or no?
Yeah, he's back, yeah.
Can you speak to that experience that the players get from their time, that experience in playing on the Olympic squad? You had you called in Keldon Johnson over there. Can you talk about the noticeable bump that he's had this season?
I think that's happened with a lot of guys. They really take pride in playing for their country, and it's an opportunity for all of them to play together at that level. The All-Star game is not the same thing. There's a bunch of stars playing, but the stakes here are very high, and it's serious stuff. So they develop a camaraderie with each other, with we coaches, coaches with coaches, coaches with those players that never leaves. And it shows the joy that they have. You see one of them at a game, and immediately you talk about the gold medal. And it pumps up their confidence. We worked our ass off for those 6 weeks to get to where we got. They compete against people that are their caliber of players for an extended period of time, which helps them become better players. And they're exposed to all those coaches. All of us have different things that we're telling them as far as what's going on. Plus, Jeff Van Gundy is there, and Jamal Mosley is there, and Ime Udoka is there. It's quite a situation, and they all benefit from that. So it's just a big plus for players, and hopefully this pandemic deal will wind down a little bit, and everybody will be excited to go play. But that's it's just hard to get away from the fact that it makes you a better player.
Just a quick question on where you're at in the season, where everybody is. The Clippers just played their 30th game. This is the 30th game of the Spurs. And at what point in the season do you assess things differently from what the team looked like coming out of training camp?
Right. Well, I think to some degree you do that continuously from the beginning, but you don't do it day to day because that's just not enough of a sample. But I think after the first 20 or 30 games, most of us try to look at our teams very objectively and say, we're really poor at this, or we're doing this really well, we better continue it. So the thing that's exacerbated that decision-making process and investigative process is the pandemic, because there have been so many people in and out, and you're playing teams without their best players sometimes, and you can win and you can lose, and you don't really know how to evaluate it exactly the same way. So it's a very odd season in that sense. So it's probably best, we all do it, but maybe even to a greater degree this season, just worry about your own team. You don't care what so-and-so does well or so-and-so does well. You've got to decide what players you have, who's available, who's not hurt, who's not suffering from the disease, and work on what you do best. And that's probably the best path.
Coach,
Yes, ma'am.
You spoke as part, obviously players, being part of the U.S. program, good for players. In what ways does it help coaches? Obviously, it's a big investment for you guys to do that, but in what ways has that made you better or different?
I got paid big money to do that. Come on.
That's a good thing.
Did somebody tell you it was free? Well, I just in general I can tell you it was the most satisfying athletic experience of my life. So that probably answers most of it. But just as like I said, to see the joy in their faces when you travel around all the different cities and play, that never leaves you, and it's always going to be there, and you're always going to have that relationship with those guys, because it was a trying time. We had a lot of obstacles, and these guys sacrificed a great deal to be there under those circumstances. And it took a while to get them together, and they didn't miss a beat. They did everything that we all asked them to do. You know, all the coaches that are going to follow through and be the next group worked from morning till night, you know, to try to put that thing together. So the players knew that, and they allowed us to coach them. And that was the second most satisfying experience, to have players at that level allow you to maybe adjust something. You know, some of them had to become role players. You know, Kevin Durant is obviously the guy, and he's been the guy at every Olympics, you know, that scores 26 or 28 or 30 or whatever, and everything else revolves around that in a sense. So guys that are used to shooting 20 or 22 times a night might shoot 6 times. So they had to adjust to all that, and they did. And so for that reason, you know, we respect the hell out of them for their intelligence, their willingness to sacrifice and change their games.
Yes, Zach Hollins is on this trip with you guys. Is he getting anywhere close to being able to practice or do anything?
Hell if I know. You know, he's a great kid. He had a great sense of humor. We see him every day. He's this big galoot, you know, and he's got some skills. And so I just told myself a while back, I'm not even going to think about him. I'm just going to say hello to him every day. And but he's been out there on the court, and he's banged with a couple of people here and there. So, you know, maybe I'm just guessing January, February is his time frame.
So are you expecting him to play at some point this season?
I am.
Or that's the hope.
I am, yes.
Anybody else?
Coach,
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead. I got nothing to do. I mean, really, serious, what am I going to do? Go watch more film?
You talked about the pandemic and how, like, every team kind of deals with it and, you know, going through everything. Does it at all get frustrating, though, that you haven't seen partially what your team could be capable of because of everything that's going on, guys being in and out at times?
Well, yeah, I think to some extent that's true. But every team feels that. You know, we all have to deal with it, so it's not like anybody's had an advantage. You know, we had some COVID stuff early and some injuries early, and now we're pretty much together, have an injury here and there, but nothing amazing. And some other team goes through the same deal. So I'm not sure exactly how different that is from any other season when you have injuries. Like, you know, you guys don't have Kawhi for the whole season. It's got nothing to do with COVID, you know, but he's gone. And that's a pretty big blow. So I think every year there are teams that have those kinds of injuries, you know, that they have to deal with. So you just carry on.
Is that kind of the mindset, too? Like, rather than get frustrated, it's like, this happens, just move on kind of thing?
It's the only choice. You can't cry about it. Nobody cares about it. All they care about, I mean, if we or you all had 8 guys out tonight, the next deal tomorrow on whatever, I guess there's no newspapers anymore or something, I don't know, but wherever it comes out, it's going to be who won and who lost. It's not going to say, yeah, but these guys didn't have, you know, so-and-so and so. Nobody cares.
So it's all just talking points at that point?
Yeah, just go play. Go play.
Cool.
Okay?
Thanks,
Yes. Have a good night.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.